Hey guys, today we've got a Murry 20-inch lawnmower. It comes equipped with a 4.5 horsepower Tecumseh engine and it has a Yardworks cover on it. This is actually a project that my son has been working on for a while. Originally, this mower had a Tecumseh engine. You may remember that engine. It made an appearance in this video up here or in the link below. Oh, here it is. This is that engine. This is the one that I robbed the PCV out of because it had the bent crank, plus off the weed eater. I cut this wire because it had the angled connector that came off this coil. And this coil is likely going to go to that MTB mower. This one up here that won't start, probably going to get this coil. After we pulled that engine off, we put this one on, the Briggs & Stratton. But unfortunately, the governor vane broke when we installed it. It was obviously weak, but when we put the spring back on, the governor vane just came right off and the engine started racing because it couldn't control its speed. So off came that engine. We picked this one up and we put that one on. We tried to start it. Guess what? Wouldn't start. We tried starting fluid and all we ended up really doing, unfortunately, was flooding it out. But we did get it to fart. So there was that. So we do know that it will fire. We tested for spark. There is spark, but I'm not sure 100% if there's enough compression to start. So we're gonna check for compression. But one thing I do know, this carburetor definitely has some problems. Because when we put fuel into it, it started leaking like crazy. And it feels like there's a jelly on it, almost like someone tried to silicone it. In fact, I have a feeling that's exactly what's happened. Silicone and gasoline don't really mix, so that jet inside is probably clogged solid with old silicone. Well, we know what we got to do. This carburetor's got to come off. This air filter is brand new because the old one was complete junk. It had actually fallen apart inside, so we've already replaced that, but we didn't do anything else to this. We tried to get it to start and it just wouldn't even start and die. Let's pull apart this carburetor. Let's see what we can do with this engine. So stick around, guys, because this is going to be one interesting video. Alright guys, first things first, let's get this carburetor off. Get the air filter off. Get the breather tube off. Get the exhaust off. 11mm. Now number 3 Phillips and we can get this intake off. There we go, the intake's now off. And we'll disconnect these governor springs and linkages. There's one, just popped right off. Number 2 is out. Now let's get this fuel line off. This doesn't want to come off. There we go. Now it's off. Perfect. Carburetor's off. Okay, let's check this primer bulb. Seems pretty hard. And it's starting to crack. Yeah, so let's pull this primer bulb off and replace it. Now we just need to pick out the retainer. There we go. There's the retainer and the rest of the primer. Excellent. Now let's get over to the workbench, take this carburetor apart, and see how bad it really is. After considering the condition of this mower, I decided to check the pull rope. As you can see, it's very black, it's very dirty, it's very old. Since we're going to have this apart anyway, we might as well change it. So let's get the fuel tank off. There's two small nubs off the shroud. You need to bend it back and lift it past those nubs. And the fuel tank comes right off. As does my microphone, apparently. That back. I'm not sure what's going on with my microphone. I think the battery might be dead. Let's see. Yep, the battery's dead on that. So I got to put this on charge and then see if my other one's ready to be used. All right. Here's a spare. And yeah, there we go. Perfect. All right, now where were we? Right. Taking off the shroud. Oh, there's the child. Hello, child. Okay, so we have two 5/16 at the front and these two 10mm at the back. So let's get these off. Then we have one more 5/16 holding the oil tube onto the shroud. Now the engine cover should come right off. And my backup mic again, or I should say my main mic, which I moved off, it just died, but that's okay, I was expecting that. There we go, we got the cover off. I'm just gonna go drop it off at the bench, and let's continue taking a look at this little mower. Make sure there's no more surprises. All right, well, let's take a look at the spark plug. Let's make sure it's not the wrong plug. 13/16 spark plug socket. As you can see, it's still a little bit wet. But at least it looks like it's the correct plug for this engine. So I'll give them that, and thus ends my streak of having incorrect plugs for the engines. Thanks. That's a nice surprise for a change. Since we've got the plug out, let's pop the compression tester in there and see what compression is. Okay. I believe it's this one. There's the gauge and the hose. Perfect. Hey, look at that. A red subscribe button. So if you guys made it this far in the video, hit that subscribe button and also give it a thumbs up. Now on to more. Okay, keep an eye on that gauge. Hey, where'd you go? Why are you running away? No, can't get it to spin fast enough. I gotta go to the electric drill. Okay. Let's see what compression is. Watch that dial. 115 pounds? That should be okay. That should be able to run this engine no problem. Let's try that one more time. Yeah, about 115 pounds. So yeah, this engine should run fine. Well, I must say I don't see anything else glaringly obvious sticking out that might be a problem with this engine. Oh, PCV tube sticking out a little bit. Other than that, I don't see any issues with this engine. It should run just fine. As for oil, well, when we got this engine, it had no oil, so we had to add it before we tried running it. Anyway, let's get over to the little bench so we can get started on that carburetor and get the rope changed on that recoil. So we've got the carburetor here. Figure we'll start with this, and then while it's in the ultrasonic cleaner, then we can do the recoil. So first things first, drop your wrench. So first things first, 7/16 on the inside, 3/8 or 10 millimeter on the outside. Oh, right. I have this one. This would have made things a little bit easier. And again on the opposite side. There's the intake tube. Ooh, what's this? Kind of nastiness. So 1/4 inch or Phillips number 2. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch socket. And this, I believe, is a 1/2 inch. And this one's not even tight. So it seems okay. And a bit of crud in the bottom of this bowl. But I'm seeing why it was leaking. And no amount of silicone is going to help this. There's no gasket. That's a problem. Let's take a look at the needle and seat. Or I should say needle and float. Here's the float. Here's the needle. Float seems okay. Here's the needle. Needle seems alright. The seat in there seems okay. A lot of sparkling on these Welch plugs, like almost like it's sand. Right, so let's get the emulsion tube out. Oh, we got a red one again this time. No, it doesn't want to come out. It should come out. There it goes. There we go. A red emulsion tube. Okay, so let me put that in the jar. The screws and nuts. Needle, float, pin, and the main jet. let me take a look at the other carburetor that was leaking before from that other MTD mower. Let me see if I can scavenge the gasket off that. Here's the other carburetor. Let's take off the bottom, the bowl nut, or the main jet. This was 13 millimeter I used. Yeah, so this gasket looks really good. Actually, this one looks brand new, which isn't surprising considering it should be a brand new gasket. So take that. And that's a nice brand new bowl. But I'll save this for another one because this one doesn't look that bad and it should clean up just fine in the ultrasonic cleaner. It's too bad because I changed the bulb on this. Glad I couldn't just put this carburetor on, but this carburetor was leaking fuel and I don't know why. I'll have to get another gasket for this and try it again. But worst case scenario, I do have another new carb. So if this doesn't work, I can put another carb on this mower. So for now, let's get this in the ultrasonic cleaner. But first, I'm going to blast it with a little bit of carb cleaner to see if I can get some of this sand off and make sure all the passages are good. Passageways seem pretty clear on this. Let's get this in the ultrasonic cleaner. This way we can make sure that all the tiny passageways are hopefully cleared right out. So let me get this in the cleaner and we'll be back in a minute. There we go. We'll give it 10 minutes in there. Good. Now we'll come back. And likely I'll probably give this another 10 minutes, but we'll check it when it's done. Okay, so let's pull the rope all the way out. There we go. Rope's all the way out. Just gonna pin it off. There we go. Let's get that rope out. Cut the end off. Then we're going to take the new rope and the old rope and we're going to melt them together. I'm just going to pull some slack. Now we pull the ropes through. Now be careful, they're not one rope, they are two ropes, they're just temporarily joined. There we go, the rope's through. And now we can measure it off. We measure it off. Let's make sure we pull enough through so we can measure it off. Oh, need a bit more slack. There we go. Let me bring it to here. Now we mark this. Pull it back through. And then we cut it off. That rope goes back. torch the end. We tie a knot. Now we're going to tie a slip knot. And we're going to pull our pin. We hold the slip knot. And there we go. Now we have a slip knot in. Our two ropes that are joined. And pull them apart. And there you go. The end's already burned so it won't fray. Now we just got to pick out the end. So I just use my flat screwdriver. Pull out the rope. That can be pulled right out. We take our new rope. Sounds like our cooking is done. Just in time. We just finished this now. Put a knot on the end. Pull it through. We flip it over and pull out the slip knot. And there you go. Rope changed. Now, let's check those parts. Okay, so those 10 minutes are up. So let's take a look. The carburetor is coming out really good. Looks much better. Much better. Looks like a lot of that sand and grit is off of it. Okay, I think another 10 minutes should do okay. Let's check the bowl. Yeah, the bowl's not bad. There's the grud in the bowl. So I'm just going to put that back in, flip it over, so hopefully it'll all fall out into the bottom of the ultrasonic. Alright, another 10 minutes. Okay guys, see you in 10 minutes. There we go, that's been 10 minutes. Let's take a look. Doesn't look too different from last time, but that extra 10 minutes should help clear up some of these passages in here. And the bowl looks okay. This is brown crap on the sides. Probably old silicone. I'll wipe it out with paper towel, should clean it up. Now the hardware. Alright, let's get this thing assembled. Alright, let's begin assembling this. But first things first, let's make sure that this little jet is cleared out. Now you're wondering what little jet? This one, right here. There's actually a jet right there. Goes on an angle. And if this one isn't clear, then the lawnmower won't run properly. Or may not even start at all. It's very small, very hard to see, but you just got to make sure it's all cleared out. It seems to be pretty clear. Now let's begin assembling this. Put the emulsion tube back in. And just push the emulsion tube all the way down. Sure it clicks. There. Okay, next Let's get the needle on the float. If it wants to, it doesn't seem to want to sit on there. I don't know why. Come on, get on there. You know you want to. Actually, maybe it doesn't. There we go. There we go. Now we get the pin in. Check for level. Perfect. Okay, I just want to test the needle in seat. So I'm going to get a piece of airline, put it on, and just blow through to test it. Here we go. Now we'll test it. So when I blow through it like this, you should not hear any air. There's no air coming through. So now if I flip it over, just like this, you should hear some air. I'd say the needle and seat seem to be working just fine in there. Let's put the bowl gasket on. Now the bowl. Get the gasket on the bowl nut. Screw in the bowl nut. Half inch. Tighten down. I'll test it one more time with the bowl on. I would say it's working just fine. All right, there's the bowl on. Let's get the intake on. The side with the fuel line, that's the side that gets this guy. The side with the fuel line, the side with the fuel line, the side with the fuel line, that's the side that gets this. Oops. On this side, come on, cooperate. Why don't you want to go on? Why aren't you cooperating now? There we go. Perfect. Put the 3/8 on. 7/16 on this side. Hold it down. Crank this down with the 3/8. Line this up. 7/16 on. Tighten it down. I know I dropped it, but it's actually tightening down. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, let's try that again. Let's tighten it down. Called me a liar. And we'll just move this back up and down. Just like that. Much better. Good. Now, let's get the air intake together. Get the O-ring in. Through the red tube. And these two screws. One in this side. One in this side. We're going to switch to 1/4 inch. And we're going to quickly thread in one. Just get it in so it holds plastic. Thread this one in all the way down. Snug. This one and then back in again. There we go. That's all set. There we go. That's all set and ready to go, except for the primer bulb. So let's get that primer bulb in. Okay, so for this, you'll need a 3/4 socket, primer bulb, and the retainer, plus a hammer. This one's just the one that I have. I do have a bigger one. You place a 3/4 socket over, and we're just going to drive it in. And there we go. That primer bulb is now installed. All right, let's get this one back on the mower. All right, let's start installing this. Let's get the intake on. Take out these first. There we go. Gasket's not looking very good that's on there. In fact, it looks like the gasket's almost completely fallen away. I'm going to see if I have another one. I should actually have another one. Okay, I'm going to clean this off, but I need to locate one. So I'm going to stop the camera for now and start recording once I get one. Okay, so I got the gasket off, the old one, and I got a paper gasket made up. I'm going to put it on. There we go. First screw is in. Second screw going in nice. Just going to snug it down. Now I cleaned up the exhaust. I hit it with a wire wheel, and boy did it ever come out nice and shiny. Look at that. $11mm socket. Well, that's interesting. This one doesn't tighten. Ah, it's really interesting. Let's see why. Feels like the threads are a little buggered up. See, I think it's 1/4 thread. No, slightly bigger. 5/16. Yeah, 5/16/18. Nope. I think it is a 1/4. Pretty sure it is quarter. Yeah, it is a 1/4. That means these threads are completely gone. There are some threads. Let's see if I can save them. It's going to back it out. Okay, go back in. Okay. Let's see if it'll at least snug up by hand now. Yep, it'll snug up by hand now. May not be able to torque it down to what I'd normally do. At least now the threads are holding. So I'm a little worried about this one. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was actually grabbing. Doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it's grabbing at all. That's going to be a problem. I might have to order a Healy coil for this. Well, I guess for now, this should be okay for testing, but this is easily going to just rattle its way right back out. This won't be saleable until I get this fixed. Okay, next, let's get that spark plug back in. It's 13/16. I just realized I didn't put any of the governor linkages on. I'm not going to be able to get them on until I take that back off. Ah, great. Oh, I love my job so much to do it twice. Okay, hold on guys, let me pull all this apart. I won't bore you with the details. I'll turn the camera back on once it's all back to this state with the linkages on. Well, okay, we're back to here. Got the governor springs on, muffler's back on, plugs in, oil's already in. Let's get the shroud on. But I did notice something interesting. Take a look at this. I can't figure out why for the life of me the idle screw is all the way in. So it looks like it's a T10 or Torx 10 bit. I'm just going to back it out. There. These mowers don't idle, so there's no actual need to adjust this idle screw. You just have to have it poking through just a couple threads. As it was, this mower would never actually get up to its operating speed. It was heavily throttled. Right, last but not least, let's get the shroud on. There we go. We'll start with the two 5/16 in the front. Two 10 mils in the back. Okay, let's get the air filter on. Broke the tab off. The flipper I bought this engine from, I hope it wasn't him that did all this destruction, but honestly I wouldn't be surprised, and it makes me really sad. Hopefully this engine runs and I'm not going to have to go and put yet another engine on this mower. Before I forget, at 5/16 for the oil tube. Okay, that's it. It's all together. Let's get it outside. Okay, so now we're outside. A little chilly out here this morning. I'm not 100% convinced that this thing's going to run right off the bat. So I've got the air filter off, and I haven't yet put the gas tank onto it. I'm going to spray a little bit of gasoline into the carburetor first, and then pull it over a couple times and see if it'll fire off. So let's try that. Some gasoline. All right, let's give it a try. Nothing. Completely dead. Whoa. What was that? That's interesting. That shouldn't be doing that. Let me give it a little bit more gas. Let's try it again. Nothing. All right, let's check for spark. Oh, how about that? All right, let's try that again with the spark plug on. Nothing. Give it a little bit more since... let's try it. There. Oops. Helps always if I put the spark plug on. Completely forgot I took that off. All right, let's try it one more time. Oof. I think timing's off. I think this thing might have a partially sheared key. That's twice it's pulled out of my hand, and that time it almost pulled out of my hand. Let's get the cover off and get that flywheel off. All right, so we'll get those 10 mil off the back, 5/16 in the front, one back here. There we go. Oh, that seems a little early for the compression stroke. Okay, I believe this is a 3/4 nut on here. There we go. That's a problem. I think I see the issue. So the keyway is over here, but the key was supposed to be here. And it looks like there's a chunk taken out of this flywheel, and it's got a big crack up the side. Look at that. I think this flywheel's junk. I'm going to start calling this guy Attila the Butcher. Wow. He completely mangled this poor mower. Good thing I've got a spare flywheel, but I'm not sure exactly where one of the Woodruff keys are. Let's get that spare flywheel and assess the damage. Okay, there's the spare flywheel. Make sure all these are snugged up and slowly drive it on. That's it. Done. Wow. That's what's left of the key. That's it. That's all that's left of the key. It's gone. Whew. Just mangled. Yeah, I got to spare one of these. Let me go grab it. There it is. Here's a replacement. Let me pick that one off the crankshaft. Now this is the remnants right here. So I'm just going to get a flat screwdriver, see if I can clean that out. Let's first try with this pick. Yeah, I don't think so. Well, they really got it in there, but good. I'm gonna have to get a small hammer. There we go, one small hammer. Punch in here. Focus, come on. Doesn't want to focus on that. Come on, here. Focus. There we go, now it's focused. And no, it's not. Let me lock the focus. There we go, now it's locked. Perfect. Get behind it now. There we go. Unreal. There. Nose should be able to pick it out. There. Here it is. It's all that's left of the key. So let's get the other one back in place and give it a try. Oops. Bit in the shade here. There's a replacement flywheel. And that's the original. They're both the same flywheel. This one's just off a slightly older Tecumseh engine, which was the original on that mower. And this one, well, it's junk. Oh, that's why. I'm gonna take that off. Silly me. That seems more correct. So let's see how that coil's going to fit now. Coil's going to fit just fine. Let me just get a business card so we can gap this. Okay. So put a business card or something the shape, thickness of a business card in between. This needs to be, gap needs to be about 1/10,000th. There. Center this up. There we go. So let's tighten down the flywheel. Here we go. That should be good and tight. I'll get something to brace it so I can torque it properly to 35 foot-pounds. There we go. There. All right, it's braced. Torque it down. Compression washer. Actually getting a little worried. Oh, she slipped off. Slipped off the brace. Nice. Thank you. Let's try that again. There, one more time. For good measure. Worried me for a second there. I thought it broke. Ah, it doesn't want to hold properly this time. Got a piece of wood now. This'll hold. It's not going anywhere. Maybe. And there it went somewhere. Calls me a liar. That's nice. This mower is such a pain. There. Oof, that hurt. Ouch. Finger. Mower just doesn't want its flywheel tightened. Yeah, it just doesn't want to work.
have to try a combination of things. There, let's see if this will hold. No, it's not going to hold. It's just gone right past. How am I going to brace this? Heck with this. There. Now it shouldn't flip anymore. Spoke too soon. Maybe not. Maybe I did. Oh, this is insanity. Are you kidding me? Well, guys, I'm calling it here. I hate to say it, but we're going to be having to get yet another motor or another engine for this. Let me flip it over and show you. Check this out. So I want you to keep a close eye on that crank bolt. See that? That wobble? A nice little wobble. This crank is bent on this engine. That's why the flywheel key was sheared. Whoever owned this engine before, he hit something and completely knocked the flywheel, bent the crank. This engine's junk. Well, guys, we can't save them all, but this one is just going to end up as more parts. Another Tecumseh engine out of the picture. My kid is not going to be happy. All right, guys. See you in the next one. Okay, I know what some of you might be saying. It's not that hard to fix the crankshaft on this engine, because all you would have to do is flip it on its back, take the blade off, get a big pole, put it on, and bend it back into shape. The problem is, that's a Tecumseh engine. They're junk. If it ran and I could save it, no problem. It would be great. But as you saw, the flywheel was cracked, the key was sheared, and the crank is bent. Why do I want to save this engine? It's good for parts if I come across another Tecumseh, which, incidentally, I do have one in the back, which, as you remember, wouldn't start. Maybe I can pull the bail off this and the coil. Never know. Save that mower and condemn this one. Besides, I can get a nice Briggs & Stratton for that. Possibly even a Kohler engine, and get rid of this Tecumseh garbage. All right, guys. That's it for this. Don't forget all the usual. Like, comment below, and also hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know when I upload in the future. I try to upload every Friday, long form video like this, 7 a.m. And Tuesdays, 7 a.m. I try to do a silly little short or an informative short. Anyway, guys, we say bye to this Tecumseh. Bye-bye, Tecumseh. Bye-bye. Oh, you're still here. Guys, it's over. Go home. Oh, I know what the problem is. The spark plug's undone. So picky.